You know, I feel like most of us are stalled because we haven't seen a single unstable SMP video in what feels like years at this point, which is the reason I want to take this opportunity and talk about an SMP I've begun watching recently and absolutely fell in love with. I do want to reiterate that I haven't been paid nor asked to make this video, and this is purely made to appreciate the amazing content which I'd consider my favorite SMP to watch, and that being the Shattered SMP. Also, with mentioning that I haven't caught up on the latest videos and that I haven't watched every POV, but I'm working on it. I do want to watch every POV. But so far, I've watched a bit of Moldy's POV, and I mainly watch Astro's POV. It is a scripted SMP, and we're about to dive into what makes it so great. I will try not to mention spoilers as much as I can so I can invite you, audience, to watch it yourselves and, find out how you feel about this amazing work of art. And I want to start this segment talking about the characters. And I feel like most people would begin talking about the protagonist since, that makes sense. We see the story through their lenses and we follow them and we want to root for them. But I want to start with the villains of the Shadowed SMP because how they are handled is just amazing in my opinion. They're all built up as these unstoppable and destructive, all-powerful players, and what I love most is that the gameplay actually backs it up. The fight against these big bads are brutal and draining, and makes it feel like the fight isn't about winning anymore, it's about surviving. And I feel like that complements the protagonist so well, because it allows them to look strong and be strong in situations where most players would die. But let's be real, none of them are most players, and they need to use everything they can, their combat skill, their game sense, their survivability, just to survive and push through the tiniest line of potential victory. And well, I don't want to spoil much, but the way the Shout SMP builds up like its villains like through books, so it isn't stated like XYZ is so omega evil, so mega powerful, but most implying that there is something or someone capable of great damage. It utilizes show not tell so incredibly well, even though later you do get an exposition on how it works, but still like the build up is just phenomenal, and even the environmental storytelling that you can also see, and even watching other perspectives lead up to the same big bad. And I just think that's amazing writing. Whoever's writing that needs to get an Oscar. Oh my god. And even the voice acting for some of these guys, like, get them on stage, bro. Get them on stage. Like, to a point, a mace wielder and a combat master has to run away and hide just to survive these damned encounters where the resources are drained and everything looks like absolutely hopeless. Even when you hear that hype or music in the background, even when you hear like Flame Flags' music, bro, and it's like still cooked. Although I'd love to talk about the protagonist, I don't think it would be fair because I haven't watched every POV, and I think if I mention like the guys, I mean the people I only watch, Astor and Moldy, I think that'd be a bit disrespectful because I don't want to leave out some other amazing and talented creators. So you know what? That's for you people to understand. That's for you audience to look into, understand these characters. But what I will mention is, from what I've seen, all the great and they are cool to follow along on this journey. With them also having like amazing chemistry, amazing dynamics, with even like background characters and side characters, which I think is just so much fun. It gives the soul of the Child SMP so much life into it, makes it worth watching. Like I can barely call a single useless interaction, and it just adds to the story so much. Like, even They even have like the funny, goofy moments, but also the emotional and heartwarming ones. And another thing I want to mention is the fights of the Shadowed SMP are tense, with how most fights have players who are on par with equipment with the protagonist, well, not including a mace most of the time, and they are a genuine threat, and that they might either be an epic battle or fight against some random chungies. It adds so much at stake and kicks that excitement and adrenaline keeps you at the edge of your seat. It shows that the protagonists are vulnerable and can be killed as easily as anyone, but the perseverance is the one thing that makes the difference. And besides, I'm just here to tell you, to watch the SMP and why it's so great, and I hope I'm doing a great job at that. And as for the story, now this is the thing that got me hooked onto the Shadow SMP and inspired me to make this video. The story is so crazy and the main conflict is so unique and interesting. I've personally never seen it done before. And it has like the emotional moments, hype over moments between all these amazing characters, and it's like it feels alive. It feels like so interactive. Like every single protagonist and every single side character is more than just some one-off joke, and I think that's amazing. And as much as I want to talk about the story of the Shell SMP, I don't even know like if there's a way I can talk about it without mentioning any spoilers, so I'm not gonna do that because like it is so insane that I can't even. I tried thinking of ways how I can say it, but I just can't think of any. It also has like a great switch between combat and interactions I've mentioned before, like an actual decent balanced amount, which I think is just so satisfying because I don't want to watch like I don't know, a whole video that's just pure combat as nothing else. I think that can get a bit repetitive and a bit boring, but these people are cooking, you know? You have to see it for yourself, man, ladies and gentlemen. And before I end this video, I want to say much love to every Shout SMP member, whether you're a builder, background character, protagonist, villain, music composer. This passion project is just amazing and keeps me amazed every time. I'm not sure if any of you will see this as much as I'd love you all to see this, but I'm glad that I made this video. Anyways, now, I shall pose a question to you all. Can you see the eye?